I did have clean pants on first service, but I had to jump back into my hunting gear because, like Jonathan said, this is actually as long as I can remember, I think it's the first time I've not been in the woods on the Sunday of opening weekend. So when Daniel asked me, I really should have known the date, but I said yes right away. But I'm really glad that we could be here. Like he said, we are the Dunns. I'm Travis. This is my beautiful bride, Natalie, and this is our 2-week-old baby, Tatum. And so we just want to share some things that we're thankful for. Thank you for having us go first so I can get back into the woods. My wife, even though she was a teacher, she is not a big fan of public speaking, so she asked to speak first so she could be done first.
Thank you. Yeah, I put me in front of 5-year-olds. I can sing and dance and use puppets and all the things, but in front of you, not so much. So I wrote it down. There are 2 things in life that I knew I wanted to be, a wife and a mother. Those 2 things that I desired more than I can say are the 2 things that took their sweet time to come into my life. And to be honest, I didn't handle all of those years of waiting well. I spent most of them crying out to the Lord, wondering if those days I desired would ever come for me. And you know something? They did, and they are. In God's most beautiful and perfect timing, I was married and became the wife to the best guy I know in 2017. And now, after trying to start our family in our own timing, 3 years and tears later, God has given us the precious gift of our sweet daughter. In all of this, I wanted to share with you the things I've learned in hindsight of these seasons. God is never late. He's never not listening to your sob-filled prayers. He truly just knows so much better than I do. Looking back, I would never change the seasons of waiting that I had to experience in order to arrive at the abundant blessings that I get to experience today. If you're going through a season of waiting, hold on. God knows what he's doing. In my waiting, I read another struggling mama's post that struck me. She said this of what she felt God asked of her in her waiting. Simply this: will you sit with me? Will you sit in the presence of our King in your waiting? Even if your desires, the job, the husband or wife, the child, you name it, never comes? We must find our fullness in Christ alone first and foremost. And sometimes in God's great kindness and love for us, he blesses us with those desires of our hearts at just the right time. And for that, I'm so, so grateful.
We're perfecting the handoff. And I really wanted to echo some of what she was saying. For me, going through the season that she's talking about, especially as the husband and somebody that is often wants to be the fixer, it was really hard, and it continually every day seemed to get harder coming home to a bride that was just designed to be a mama, and we couldn't have a baby. And it was just, we'd have these struggles where, like, she would see a post of somebody that was close to her that was not even having their first, now a second or third baby, and we just being excited for these people and celebrating with people and wanting to be supportive, but also just questioning, well, why not us? Thank you. And so it even got hard for me to pray and be supportive, just because I didn't understand why we weren't able to succeed in this, and we had always wanted to adopt as well, but we didn't know and we didn't think that would end up being our only option. And so even being thankful for God's timing, it was just perfect, and we didn't even see it coming. Last year, at Christmas, I didn't know what to get my wife, and she was down at that time, and I, for some reason, I just kept coming across this new mama stuff, and I prayed about it, and I landed on that's what I would get my wife for Christmas, and it didn't go over well at all. And so then I'm sitting here praying, like, well, what the heck? I thought this was a good thing, and it ended up breaking my wife's heart even more. But I knew, and had this peace that one way or another we would have a child this year. And so we were actually, we had shifted focus. We were actually at our adoption class when we kind of realized that we had one on the way. And so we look back now, and we wish we could have shaken ourselves 3-4 years ago, and just said, be patient, because we look at God's timing now compared to then, and it couldn't have been more perfect. Natalie got to be pregnant alongside one of her best friends that she grew up with, and because of the timing that God had, she was able to actually transition into being a stay-at-home mama right away, and so it has just been beautiful, and God's timing was perfect, and we're so thankful for that. And the other thing that we wanted to say that we're thankful for is we're thankful for all of you guys. When COVID hit, Natalie and I were going to a different church, and we had already had our own discussions and prayers for where we wanted to be, because where we were, we just kind of felt like we were lost in a crowd. And when we would try and plug in, we just felt like we ended up pouring in more than we were actually being filled up, and we just felt drained. And we didn't feel like we were part of a community, even though it was massive. And so as a family, we decided we would go church hunting while everybody was hiding at home, which was an odd time to search for churches. But we did, and we tried several churches in the area. And when we came here, we just felt at home. And even seeing the way that you guys have come around us and just allowed us to plug in has been beautiful. You held a baby shower for Natalie, and when she came home, she was just gleaming, and I said, well, did you know anybody? She said, I knew like 3 people when I walked in, but it was so beautiful the way that we have not been here very long, but it's beautiful the way that we just feel like a family here, and we feel like we can actually plug in and be involved, but we are also loved on, not just requested to pour out. So thank you to all of you, and we thankful that this is our church. So we wanted to close with Psalm 9, 1 and 2. I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. I will recount all of your wonderful deeds. I will be glad and exult in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High.